You see, I don't think that we have the excuse to follow a system that doesn't even believe in the Ten Commandments. Today, our modern 21st century Christianity that is perpetrated from many of the pulpits doesn't even hold to the Ten Commandments. It's the 6 commandments and the 4 suggestions. Should you and I be following an institutional system that doesn't even believe in the 10 commandments? You shouldn't. That doesn't even know the 10 commandments. They can tell you the 10 ingredients of the Big Mac, but they can't tell you what the 10 commandments are. Because they believe in the 6 commandments and the 4 suggestions. And it's simply outrageous. Something, I have to tell you, that would have given conservative scholars 100 years ago would turn in their grave. Conservative Christian scholars of yesteryear would turn in their grave at what is perpetrated as Christianity today. They would turn in their grave, utterly shocked that you're masquerading this as Christianity when you don't even believe in the 10 commandments. You believe there's 6 commandments and 4 suggestions. They would turn in their grave. It's outrageous. But you see, the waters have got awfully lukewarm, haven't they? Awfully lukewarm. You see, 21st century American Christianity, it has become mindless and unresponsive to 4 out of 4 of the vertical commandments between man and Yahweh. 21st century Christianity has become mindless and unresponsive when it comes to 4 out of 4 of the vertical commandments between man and Yahweh. And what I'm saying right now is going to be so offensive to somebody. And all I'm asking you, instead of shooting the messenger, test what I am saying. Go back into your Sunday church and ask your pastor, your youth pastor, can you tell me what the 10 commandments are? They will not be able to label them off to you one by one. Ask people in the pews. Ask them the difference between the vertical and the horizontal commandments. They have no concept. This is foundational to our faith. We cannot live this nonchalant and have a tolerant approach to the commandments. You see, look at the first 4 commandments. These are vertical commandments. I am Yahweh. Who? It's not the Lord. I am Yahweh. The Lord, look it up in your Webster's dictionary, is another name for Baal, the master, the Lord of the flies, Satan. Not the name of the Creator. It doesn't say, I am the Lord your God, because the gods that we serve in the nations are the gods of money. And people get all bent out of shape. Well, they took God off the new dollar coin. Well, so what? Do you really think they were talking about the God of the Bible? They were talking about the God of Mammon. That's why it's on the Mammon. It's not for you and me. Let them have it. Let's go about our Father's business. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You know, not the Elohim that you've made up in the nations, but if you're going to believe in the Creator, He is called Yahweh, and He delivered a people out of Egypt. Do you follow that God? Because that God is a lot different than what's being taught. He delivered a people called Israel out of Egypt, and He did it by His great, mighty, outstretched arm. And then He brought them to the mountain, and He gave them the commandments to sanctify them because they had been ignited by salvation by the blood of the Lamb. And now he was bringing into the mountain the boiler point of sanctification. Nothing new here. Do you serve that God? Number 2, do not make any graven images or idols. Yes, you don't have the right to bring a tree into the middle of the congregation around Christmas time and erect it. That is a graven image and an idol brought into the house of the Father. And we've got problems with architecture all over the country. Graven images, edifices to Nimrod, and all kinds of things everywhere. People go on vacation and they pick up a graven image and bring it back into their house. I have no problem with that. Well, we should have a problem with that. That's the second commandment. Hollywood, that's a bunch of idolatry and graven images down there. We should have problems bringing that into our home. Be careful when you put on the Academy Awards and you invite that idolatry into your house. Okay? We have to, if we're going to keep the commandments. Number 3, don't hide his name and bring it to vain emptiness and call him the name of a British landlord. Lord. It's not his name. It's a title. Baal, Satan, Bel. That's not his name. His name causes division, makes people feel very uncomfortable. And his name, however you want to pronounce it, is Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, Yahweh. Right? Yes. That's the name. And his son's name, he came in his father's name, Yahushua. Yahweh is our salvation. Yes, amen. Now, let's be honest. The letter J was invented in 1532. So we have a slight problem there, don't we? So we have to investigate these things with all honesty. And if you're not being honest, then no wonder you can't keep the 3, and let alone the 4th commandment, which is what? How about we keep Sabbath? Because if we can't even keep 10 commandments, then what kind of God and what kind of faith are you following? You're into idolatry. You've created a God that you like to serve when it suits you. And it makes you feel religious and it makes you feel holy. But it is not the Yahweh, our Elohim, who delivered us out of Egypt and slavery. Let's be honest. I mean, really? That's why we are few and far between. Because what is propagated as Christianity today only keeps 6 horizontal commandments. Because it's all between me and my fellow man. Because you know what? The 4 vertical, well, that's a private deal. That's between, me and my own God. Exactly. You and your own God. And this is hard for people to hear. But I challenge you, take up the challenge. Go and ask people what the 10 commandments are. Go and investigate if they know that it's Yahweh who delivered a people out of Egypt. He delivered them to sanctification. It was the Passover Seder. It was Passover that was the delivery mechanism. It wasn't the bare-breasted fertility goddess. These are things that we should rise up to the challenge. We shouldn't bring graven images and idols into our house, whether it be through television or through bringing in little objects and things into our life. That commandment still stands. And let's not hide his name and pretend his name's the Lord, when it's simply not. You don't have the excuse of removing it from your Bibles close to 7,000 times and replacing it with the name of a British landlord. Instead, we've got Satan that has been nicely kept for every generation across every translation, and everybody knows who Hasatan is. How come his name is still meant and mentioned? But we hide the name and bring the name of the Creator into vain emptiness. And you can't say that we don't keep the Sabbath, Because this is just the basics of a faith that was delivered to a people that were delivered from slavery. And Paul is saying in Romans 6, if you've really been delivered from slavery, which is sin, then you need to serve the one true Elohim that is in the business of delivering people from sin and slavery. Super powerful. But any other God is going to leave you lukewarm in the nations, bankrupt and destitute, with graven images, idolatry and lawlessness all around. And that's not the narrow road that leads to life.